Hey lovelies, it's Kate. Welcome back to another Sims 4 speed build. I decided to build a totally over-the-top modern mansion which has a river. It's supposed to look like a lazy river, the type that you would know from a water park, and it's functional. So the river is just a pool and your sim can lounge on a floatie or they can just swim in it, so it's functional. And I started off by building a round section in the center. For this I've used round walls, but you can already see that the edge is kind of glitching. This is because I decided to raise the platform in the center, so I unfortunately had to hide the imperfections, and I decided to use this wonderful debug rock from Eco Lifestyle. I rotated it and I just brought it into the correct position. I just had to hide all these weird glitches. They are not looking good and we are still hoping for a patch one day. And I just wanted to have this round section in the center, and I'm going to place lots of armchairs in there and also a fire pit so your sims can hang out there. And then I wanted the river to go around the round section, if that makes sense. And I've used my wonderful beloved base game rock to have a guideline. I've then used lots of pristine pedestals. I got a bit impatient. This is why I simply duplicated a round section and rotated it using tool. In theory, I could have just not used tool and I could have just placed each individual pristine pedestal, but I knew that this build would be a very long journey, so just decided to do it this way. I then decorated a bit and I just wanted to have this wonderful round shape, as I said. And the thing is, I lowered the round room into the ground at the very beginning because I just didn't want this to stick out too much. This is why you can see the terrain on the sides, and I'm later on just going to smooth it out, but for the longest time I had no idea how to do this. And I then once again used the same rock. I brought it into the correct position and I then used more pristine pedestals. And this way I had already started to lay out the shape of my pool. So the main idea is that you are using any object, you create a shape, any shape you want, and then you are just using the custom pool tool to fill in the area in the center. This way you can create any pool shape and it just looks awesome. So you could create all kinds of round shapes. Round shapes can be a bit tricky in the beginning, but you can just create anything. Like pools can be so fun in this game. I know we are all still hoping for proper round pools, but this is what we got so far, and at least this is working. You can here see how I'm filling in the area. So this is kind of the beginning of the river, and I then used lots of these debug rocks from Eco Lifestyle because I knew that I would like to have another round shape, so there would be a gap between the river and the rest of the build because I wanted to place lots of plants over there. You can see that I've placed some plants between the round section in the center and the river, and I wanted to do the same for the outside of the river kind of. I then rotated more pristine pedestals and I just wanted to create a really smooth, nice shape. And this is kind of the most difficult part in my opinion. When you create a river, you just want the shape to look right. So I was making lots of changes to this and I just built the river section by section. I had no perfect plan for this. I just knew that I would like to have the river like on the right side going into this direction, as you can already see. And I knew that I would like to have a river which goes over the river. So basically a river on the floor above, which is kind of the main feature and eye-catcher of this build in my opinion. I have created something similar in the past, but never a river on the second floor. And I'm just so excited about this. So this was kind of the main plan. And this was so much work. And I also had no idea if this would work out, but I loved the challenge of just making it work and trying to make it look good, because you never know if the dimensions are right, if it looks balanced, but luckily it worked out, and I'm just so happy about that. yeah, at this point, I'm just furnishing the round area, and I knew that I would like to have a pop of color. Like recently, I have embraced more color in my builds, and originally I wanted to have this blue color. Then I decided, as you already saw in the beginning, to use lots of pastel purple, and this is kind of a nice pop of color. So later on, I'm going to change the color of all these armchairs because this kind of clashed with all the other colors that I chose. And there's a wonderful plant in debug from high school years, and I stumbled upon this recently, but I had no idea that it's from high school years. I mean, it makes sense because I probably would have stumbled upon this earlier, so it makes sense that it's new and that it's from high school years, but I kind of had no idea from which pack it is. It looked pastel purple, and I loved it, and I thought this would be such a cool detail and pop of color. And then I was looking through debug for an hour, and this is always so stressful, and then I finally found it, and yeah, it's from high school years. You will see it later, and it has this beautiful pastel purple color. Here it is. It's so beautiful. I love it so much, and I just knew that this is perfect. I love the combination of the blue water and the pastel purple. The green is just perfect. Green and purple always work together, in my opinion. It's just amazing. And yeah, then I knew, okay, I'm just going to add more purple details, and this is kind of how the pop of color came along, and I'm super happy how it turned out. I then also used the vines from Jungle Adventure on purple. I still think that there should be an update to the pack. I just want to have more swatches for the vines from Jungle Adventure. They come in white, red, and purple, which is amazing. But it's such a basic object, having this beautiful vine, being able to have some flowers on a wall. I think there should be all types of different colors, all the swatches. This would be amazing. Yeah, and here I'm working on the other river. So basically, I just built a floor on the level above. I then used this rug from Journey to Batu to have an idea how I would like the river to look. I'm going to make it smaller. You can see that it's pretty wide, especially compared to the original river below, and it just wasn't looking right, so I made it a bit slimmer, and I then just started to wing it. So at this point, I decided to not use any guideline. I just placed each individual object, and I was kind of trying to work out a shape that is cool. And I knew that I would like to have a waterfall at the end of this river because it just has to end somewhere, and I just didn't want it to abruptly end it somewhere. So I decided to turn this into a beautiful waterfall. This is super cool, and this is not dangerous for your Sims, but when you think about it, you have this river and you're just chilling on your floatie, and then you are kind of slowly drifting into the direction of the waterfall in your river pool. This is kind of scary, but luckily this is The Sims, so nothing is going to happen. And yeah, this waterfall is animated. It's from Iden Living, and I just placed it over there, and I then used more debug rugs from Eco Lifestyle because I kind of had to make this look good. And I then also used some more natural looking debug rugs to make it look like a proper waterfall. I wanted to have this mix of a fake looking river and waterfall, but also a bit natural, if that makes sense. And I just placed all these debug rocks down there, and I then used the pool tool to create a tiny pond. So this is where all the water goes, I guess. And I then placed more debug rocks around it, and I just decorated it. Later on, I'm going to use so many different plants, especially the purple ones. These will be everywhere. And I then used more debug rocks to hide the edge of the waterfall, because the waterfall was a bit wider than the river, and I kind of had to hide this because the edge of the waterfall, the animation was kind of floating, and this way it looks perfect. I then placed lots of these beautiful purple plants and also palm trees. I just wanted this to look so dreamy, tropical, and perfect, so I just landscaped so much for this build. This was kind of the main focus, and I had the best time. I then started the process of smoothing everything out. For this, I removed a part of the floor, and I then replaced the floor with this lawn floor, so it looks like lawn. I then made the terrain bit a bit bigger, like the flat area, and this way I was able to smooth it out without having a steep slope, so it all looks smooth and nice. You can see it because I didn't want to have like this harsh steep slope in this area. I wanted this to look smooth and good. And then I finally started to work on the house a bit more. This is always the most difficult part for me. Whenever I'm working on the garden first, when I have this huge focus on the landscaping, it's always so difficult to find a house or style that matches the aesthetic. But in this case, I was going for a modern, simple layout because I really wanted the garden to shine, and I then just decided to later on use so many purple details. So I also used all these vines from Jungle Adventure and just so many purple details, purple furniture as well. So this house is all about the color purple on the exterior. Like usually it's the other way around. The exterior is not colorful at all, but then I use a pop of color on the interior, and here it's kind of the other way around, because as you will see, the interior is like really minimalistic and simple and modern, but the outside is like totally over the top. And I also built a building right at the end of the river on the right side. This is going to be like a gym and spa area, and I connected the building on the right side with the rest of the house just using a very long hallway. And I also then did the same to the terrain, that I like the same thing that I did in the back, just smoothing it out. And then I also used lots of these plants to hide it, just to make it perfect. The house is technically floating because of the way I built it. This is why I've also placed all these plants below, and I just kind of made it look good. And I also placed lots of plants on the roof actually. As I said, I wanted to have all these purple details right at the house as well, so I wanted the house to be colorful as well. This is why I placed all these plants on the roofs, and I didn't want to use them on all roofs though, because I feel like this would be too much, so I only placed them on 2 roofs. I'm also going to use the lawn floor to make it look more natural, like a natural, wonderful roof. And I'm also going to place some more debug plants on there. And I then started to place lots of windows. I had no idea which swatch to use first, because there's like a lighter brown, a darker brown. I also thought about using a white window, so I had no idea. I just knew that I would like this to be modern, and I placed all these windows everywhere. The interior, as I said, will be so modern and over the top. I also love that there is like a spa area. I mean, it's a mansion after all, and I wanted to have a spa and gym area because I feel like this is all about like swimming and just enjoying this, and I felt like this was kind of the vibe. If your sim enjoys just swimming, this is the perfect build for your sim, I guess. And I decided to use this wonderful light brown exterior trim, so I wanted to have all these wooden accents to make it look more natural and really beautiful. And I kind of love this very long hallway, and I placed so many windows in there. It's kind of connecting everything. And I then started to furnish a part of the patio area, and I used this wonderful base scheme chair, which comes in a wonderful pastel purple swatch. This one was added in a base scheme update a couple of weeks or months ago. I don't even remember. And I then also used these really beautiful bright purple armchairs, and at this point the whole color scheme is kind of coming along. And now I'm using all these wonderful flowers from debug once again below the house to make it look wonderful. And you can see that there's a debug car on the right side. I just found this in debug. And I'm here building a small driveway because I think it looks fancy. I did not have enough space for a proper garage, but I just wanted to include a very fancy driveway in a car because after all, it's just a really over-the-top mansion. And I also placed some palm trees in the front, the same debug plants that I had used in the back. This is what I'm always doing to make it look cohesive and beautiful. And I also used all these lighting straps from Spa Day. At first I didn't even want to, but then I had started to do it, and then I couldn't stop because it looked good in the other area, so I had to place all of them, as you can see here, and it just looks nice. I love these stripes so much. And I then started to furnish a bit more in the back, like the exterior. And at first I wanted to use this very bright purple weird rock in this area, the area, like the bridge, I guess you could say, that you will use to access the round area. And at first I was like so confused, like when I started to build this. I had my round room in the center, and I had placed a round floor piece on top, and I then applied like the ceiling, you could say, like a ceiling above the round room. I then applied a round fence, like a fence around it, and I used the sledgehammer tool to remove the ceiling. This way I had the round shape the way it is now, like the area where your Sims can sit, where I've built the fireplace, but there was like a small fence going around it, which always looks cool because it also allows you to add a small exterior trim and everything. And I was kind of done with this area, and I mean, you saw how I've placed the stairs in there, so it's functional. And I was just kind of playtesting this. This was very early on, because before I progressed, I wanted to make sure that what I'm doing there works, it makes sense. So I've used the Sim who lives on this lot to try this, and he was able to walk down there, but he then couldn't leave the area. So the stairs were only functioning one way, which doesn't make sense at all, because either it's blocked or it's not. And I was like, okay, what's going on? I thought the debug rocks were blocking it, because I had placed all these debug rocks around it, and I was trying different things. I thought it's the foundation height because of the stairs, and then I remembered that I had built this tiny fence around it, and I removed it, and it was working. So at this point, I had pretty much like disassembled the whole thing, only to find out that it's the small fence blocking the Sim, but only in one direction. So I just removed it, and now it's working fine. But sometimes, like, this is the most tricky stuff, like when you have something blocking your Sim and you have no idea what it could be and it doesn't make sense at all. I had the same situation when I was working on the Barbie Dreamboat, because the Sims wouldn't use the stairs and it didn't make sense. Nothing was there. It's just so confusing, and then when you figure it out, you're just so happy that it's at least like working somehow. Oh, and also I just used some no-cc gallery art to have a kitchen backsplash. I'm going to add the ID to the description box and the gallery upload. So as always, you can check out the creator. No-cc gallery art is the best. It can be used for so many different things, also for kitchens, as you just saw. And I just wanted to have a really fancy backsplash, and I had the hardest time figuring out which colors to use for the floor and wallpaper, and I was making so many changes until I set my heart on this color combination. And I'm just here furnishing the whole living area. So there's this open kitchen, I've placed a piano over there, a bar, just different things, and it's like really open, a gigantic open floor plan, and I just wanted this to be so fancy. I've also included different things for pets, so if your Sim owns cats or dogs or both, there's anything they would need. And this corner is going to be like a small office area, I guess you could say. I'm going to place a chess table and the easel, a desk, just all these basic things for your Sims to level up all their skills and do all this kind of stuff. And the floor plan just kind of came along a bit randomly, as always when I'm working on a house like this, but it's really spacious, and I feel like this is kind of really normal, if that makes sense. Like, I just have this kitchen, dining area, and all that, but all the bedrooms, the whole layout will be a bit over the top. Like the master bedroom, for example, is like, it's 2 rooms on 2 different floors connected by stairs. The room at the bottom that you access is going to be a walk-in closet, and then you walk up the stairs to access the area where you will find the bed. And the same goes for the main kids room, which I think is so cute, because at the bottom there will be like different like toys and a desk for doing homework, just different things. But then they have to climb up a ladder, and there's going to be like 2 beds. You will see it looks super cute. So I just wanted to try something different, and this is going to be a bit colorful, but this area here is just really modern. I've also built a dance floor, as you can see, the bar in the corner, so you can entertain guests here or have a party on the interior. I didn't want to build like a designated party area somewhere. I just incorporated it into the whole living room area, and I have all these windows, and I thought this is the perfect place to place the cat scratching post, so the cat can just enjoy the view and chill on there. This is one of the bathrooms. I did not include all the bathrooms in the video, but this is one of them. It's really fancy, and I've used like dark colors so it matches the rest of the interior. And I then started to work on the master bedroom. So this is the room at the top, and you can see the stairs. And when you walk down there, there's going to be like the walk-in closet thing. And I wanted to have the headboard for the bed. I wanted it to be custom and really fancy. And I just love that there are like so many windows around it, and it's super fancy. So from up there you can enjoy the view of the river and everything, and the area down there, the round area that I've talked about. So it's like a really fancy room. And I just decorated it, made it look fancy, so I just wanted it to match the rest of the interior and the whole vibe. And I just used all kinds of different objects to achieve this. And this is the room below. It's very spacious, and I'm using all the objects from Dream Home Decorator to turn this into a wonderful walk-in closet. I've also used some counters, so I wanted this to be an area where you would put something down, like maybe some earrings you're taking off or a necklace, this type of style. Of course, lots of mirrors, so Sims can just take a look at themselves and all kinds of different things, a sofa. So this is just like a really fancy walk-in closet, which is kind of a dream. Like when you have a mansion and when you are like into fashion, I feel like this is a dream for so many people, like having a wonderful walk-in closet. And I love this. This is like so cool. I don't know if I like that there are like no doors and that it's open, which is kind of common. It's a walk-in closet, but I don't really know if I would like really prefer this in real life for myself if I had a room like this. Yeah, and this is one of the kids' rooms, and yeah, I've built this ladder which is from high school years, and I just placed it on a wall because this way all these vines appear. I just wanted to have kind of a artificial treehouse vibe, and I've used this curtain in the corner and then this object from high school years with these fairy lights. So it's like a really beautiful area to sit and hide and just have a conversation, or maybe to read something before going to bed, like really cozy. And I've also placed this wall decor on the wall, like this tree, to like kind of go into the whole treehouse vibe direction. It's not looking like a treehouse, but I hope it makes sense because like of the ladder and everything. And I wanted this to look a bit random, so I combined different colors and objects, so it looks like a bit random and more like a kid's room. And yeah, you can see that there is like a dining table that I'm using as a desk, and this is the room above, so the Sims can climb up there. And I've used this tent thingy from the little campers kit and more of these fairy lights, and then I'm just building 2 beds in there, and I'm decorating a bit. So this is kind of where the Sims can sleep. It all seems like a dream sleepover. Like this is kind of the vibe, very dreamy and cozy, different areas to kind of hide and all that stuff. So I really wanted this to be super cute. This is just an additional bedroom. I also used purple for this room because purple is kind of the main color for this build, and I wanted to have at least one room on the interior which is also purple, just a really basic bedroom essentially. And this is part of the gym and spa area, just a very simple gym. I wanted to have like the treadmill, and I've placed a TV in front of them so they can just watch TV while working out, and just different objects, just lots of gym equipment, the yoga mats. There's just so much going on. And yeah, this build is of course fully furnished. It's CC free and unmodded, so I've used the 2 mod in some areas, but it's unmodded in the gallery, because this is how the 2 mod works. When you're using it, you can upload a build to the gallery. Everything will still be in place, but it's unmodded. So this is why I chose it, to duplicate some of the round areas to just save some time, because I knew that this would take a long time. And yeah, this is it. You can here see lots of screenshots. You can grab it from the gallery. My ID is KateEmerald, and you can also grab the tray files from my Patreon. And speaking of which, it's time to thank my wonderful Emerald Patreons and my Emerald YouTube members. A big thank you to Mehmet Ali Baris Khan, Paula Anna, Asia, Emma Barnes, Charlotte, Lisa Martin, Leah Cross, Saturated Spark, Shannon McClam, Stephen, and Helena Lynn. A big thank you to all of you, and of course a big thank you to all my other patrons and YouTube members, and thank you to anyone who's here watching my videos. Thank you so much for being here and for supporting me. Of course, I'm always happy if you would like to subscribe or like the video. Thank you so much for everything. I love you so much. I hope you will have a perfect day and week. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye!